welcome back to the Polar Podcast, our special guest episode. We have 5 hosts here today, along with the guest. Aiden's here.
Hello, my name is Aiden. I was born on July 19th, 2004 in Derry, New Hampshire. I have lived in 4 states now. It has been quite awesome. I talked about earlier how I had a breakfast burrito for breakfast. I have not had anything for lunch, but I do have a glass of water next to me.
We also have Camden.
Hi, my name's Camden. I did not have a breakfast burrito, and I'm hungry.
And we're also joined by John. And one mic between.
Hi, my name is John.
That's that. And we got Ty for the second episode.
I am Ty.
Ty Guy Guts. We love him. And our very special guest, Kael. Kael is running for Student Body President for the year of, what is it going to be, 2022, 2023? 21, 22. You know, he's been in leadership for quite a long time. He has a long list of accomplishments. So, Kael, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
First question off. Can you talk a little bit about those environmental bags? I remember seeing them at like the front of the school by the office. Can you hear me?
Oh, the environmental bags.
The environmental bags. I looked in them briefly, but I actually don't know like what was in them.
Oh, the community care packages. They were organized to help anybody who's suffering from COVID-19, the economic effects from that. We had toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, maxi pads, tampons, all the essentials that you need for trying to get by. It's just a small bag just to last for a day or maybe 2, whatever your situation or is during that time.
Cool. Or are you just moving your mic? What made them environmentally friendly?
Well, we wanted to basically figure out how we can get environmental toilet paper. We got environmental safety toothbrushes. We got environmental bag from Thompson Sanitary, a reusable bag for long-term use. That's what made it mostly environmental friendly.
I see. Very cool. Very cool. I hope. I bet a lot of people got assistance from those. That's an awesome thing.
We made about 50 of them. So.
Are they all been delivered now, or they're still out there? I can't remember.
No, all of them have been gone.
Awesome.
Nice.
And then we were talking earlier a little bit about this student advisory board. We had our own interpretation of it based off of your post on Instagram. Could you explain a little bit about what it's going to look like and how you're going to set it up?
Well, that's a great question, by the way. How we want to set it up is so that every class has a representative, such as the freshman, the sophomore, the junior, and the senior class, and to have the student body president be a liaison for the student advisory board, but we would hold independent elections instead of having leadership students be involved in that. It's kind of like a de facto version of our school system of government. It's just to give leadership input on what's happening within the school and how we can make it better.
So the student advisory board is going to be made up of class presidents.
Kind of.
Okay. How large is it going to be?
5 people.
5 people.
Just 4. Yeah.
Okay.
1 from each class.
Cool. So I'm not sure on this, and I'm not sure if it's enforced, but I know when I ran for sophomore class president, they told me I had to be in the leadership class already.
Really?
So if that's a thing, and you're trying to reach out to the student population that's not in leadership, and the presidents are already in leadership because of that, I don't know if it's enforced. I know they told me it, and I went with it. So there might be a president that's not in the class, and your advisory board is made of people already in the class. Like, who else are you going to add to it to make sure you get like reach from people that aren't already in the leadership class?
Well, we would try to find a diverse group of people. It all varies. I never heard about that. We're just trying to all set it up. But that's a great question. I'm going to have to research further into that.
Is it going to be another question? Is it going to be a volunteer people, or is it going to be like assigned?
Volunteer people.
Okay.
To hold elections and to actually have a system of democracy.
And it's going to be hosted. Is it like the people on the board? Are they going to be in the leadership class? Is it going to be
No.
outside of that?
It'll be outside of that.
And it'll just be a collection of people that you look out to
Yes.
and ask them questions.
Mhm.
It's not bad.
Well, it's also to have people come in. Well, we would hold meetings in the library so that any student can feel free to come in, talk to these people, and we would look overview and think about ideas about improving our Cub community.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What would the difference between a student advisory board like student and a normal leadership like student be? Like, what would they have different roles, or are they just kind of similar? Do you get what I'm saying?
I kind of do. Like, are you saying that, like, leadership students have this is well, what we're trying to do basically is to have people who aren't involved in government,
Mm-hmm.
who are kind of familiar and have interests, but they haven't gone through the leadership routes,
Okay.
and to try to get them involved, and also to try to promote ideas through different minds instead of through leadership.
Okay. Wouldn't that just kind of make them a leadership student, though?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Okay. Okay.
So if Aiden and I are leadership students and you three aren't, so how would you guys feel about a student advisory board? Do you think it would be beneficial to you guys? What do you think as students not in leadership?
I don't think I don't see it's super like different from the leadership, but it's also interesting like because I think you had to go through like the ranking to get into leadership, so you had to start as a freshman and go into character, and then so like if you're like a junior or a senior and you missed out on those opportunities as a freshman and you still want to have like some sort of role like that, I think that'd be very useful for them. So that's pretty interesting, or pretty that's pretty useful. But it doesn't seem super different from people for leadership, but it seems like a useful tool for people that missed that opportunity.
Okay. Kael, if all the leadership kids are from the student body, and they all go to school with everybody else and all the classes like normal, what is creating that disconnect between the people in leadership roles and the rest of the student body if the kids in leadership are just taken from the student body?
Well, that's interesting. Let me note back to past prior elections that we've had. They've mostly been appointed by people within leadership and nominated. This has been our first actually contested race in 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to say is that we need a better system. We need more democracy.
Mm-hmm.
People to voice out their opinions and to listen. And we want the people who feel like they haven't been really heard from to give input to the student advisory board and to get more people involved.
I like that.
Mhm.
I have a quick little suggestion here. You don't have to say, "Oh, we're gonna do that." That's a great idea. But I do think decisions on behalf of the entire school should not be made just by the leadership class. I think it should be the entire student body because if they're gonna be a part of it. We did elections for like homecoming king and queen. I think it was last year, and you get a piece of paper. Everybody's name is on it. Every student in the school got delivered it in class, and everybody circled a name, and they were all turned in. And this election is being emailed to kids, and I understand why. It's a lot easier to email an election, but I also think I think participation is important to you, and if you want to get kids to participate, it kind of it needs to be put right in front of them, with nothing else to do. So that's just a suggestion for later on. Is big decisions like that. I think going about piece and paper and giving it to them and saying you need to give this back is how you're going to get the most participation, rather than emails.
Yeah, because me as a student, when I get an email from that's not, or generally just unless I email the teacher directly and then they email me back, I don't respond to most of my school emails unless it is like something super urgent. And to a lot of people, it's not a lot. I'm sure, like, obviously I care about who is representing my school, but a lot of kids don't. So they probably, unless they're like forced to, they probably won't make the vote.
And I mean, you don't necessarily need to have a stance on this now, but we'll have those statistics like the end of this week. I mean, it's probably going to be like a Google form, right?
Yes. I think
Yeah.
so.
So that'll analyze how many people filled out the form, everybody's email, and what they selected and stuff like that. So I mean, whatever candidate wins, that's going to be a thing for them to take into consideration, is how well that form of election works and what to do after that. Very cool. Any of you guys have any questions?
Wait, I have a quick question. Is the Google form, is it going to be like something where we're in class and a teacher says, go fill out this Google form? Or is it just going to be emailed to students and then all the students are expected on their own time to go open it and vote?
I think it's going to be what you just said. Students are going to be expected to vote. That a teacher won't
Really?
force them to vote. That's wrong if somebody.
Well, I'm not saying like forcing, but like have a teacher
An
like,
assigned
goes
time.
and says like let's say like in second period, every student they're like, okay, I put this in the Google Classroom. Go vote if you want. So that's not. I feel like that should be a thing because that would make the amount of votes much greater. I would say.
Yeah, that's just a thing for you to take into consideration after you're given a leadership role. And that'd be very cool. Could you remind us a little about like your short-term goals if you were to be elected? Because we were reviewing them earlier on your Instagram, but I'm blanking right now.
We want to include a pride. Do you hear that?
What? What?
No.
I was making a face at Cam.
I was like, oh, I thought I heard something.
There's
Oh,
like a
no.
beeping outside.
There's
I
a
think.
truck moving.
My
No.
goodness. We want to include a Pride Week, like we said,
Uh-huh.
because being a person of the LGBTQ, I feel like I've been excluded a lot in a lot of things, and life's hard. I'll just have to say
Mhm.
that. And we want anybody, any minority, any person who feels like they're not belonging to feel like they're included. I mean, that's huge in one of our main steps of bringing inclusiveness to our school. We also want to touch base on fundraising because
Okay.
COVID has affected leadership funding,
Mhm.
and I don't have the current number of how much money we have in leadership. I might have to talk to Hannah about that, but we're going to have to save and get money back so then we can fuel more projects that we have. That's going to be one of our main priorities. And what else? What else do we have? We want to also do short-term community projects and trying to get improve our school in a much more old-fashioned.
Cool. Have you thought a little bit about like what this Pride Week is going to include, like specific days, or is that planning later on?
That's going to be planned later on. Me and Piper are going to work on that and try to figure out how we can include everyone and make
Very
it
cool.
puzzle.
Awesome. I'll be excited to see how that pans out later on. Are you? And this is all next year stuff.
Yes, this is all next year.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you guys remember anything else? Oh no, we already talked about the student advisory board. Can we talk about a little bit about you just outside of this campaign? Because after this, you want to become a politician.
Yes, I would like to go into the political field.
And that's very cool. Do you want to tell? You already told me the story in private about what got you into this. Do you want to tell them?
Yeah, let me tell you guys. It goes back to when I was 5 years old, and it was November 4th, 2008, and it was probably the biggest election in history. And my mom was picking me up from kindergarten, and for some reason she had tears on her face, just crying. And I asked her, "Mom, why are you crying?" And she looked at me and she said, "I just voted for the first black president in U.S. history." And I looked, and at the time I didn't understand what was happening because I didn't understand politics.
Mm-hmm.
But later on, I began to reflect and really began to want to understand more about the political field. And this really changed my perspective and brought me into politics and the enjoyment of it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
John, what are you thinking over there? What's rattling around in your head?
You're gonna have to get back to me.
Okay, think about that one. So you want to be after high school? What's your next 5-year plan after you graduate?
Oh, wow. I do want to campaign for State Representative David Gomberg.
Mm-hmm.
I've got connections with the Democratic Party of Lincoln County. I've done speeches for them, spoken in front of City Hall, which was pretty cool. But to get involved within our local community and probably go to community college as well, Lynn Benton, and then dual enroll to OSU and try to get a political science degree and stay here.
Very cool. This is quite far away. We're talking pretty far into the future. If you say we're in a leadership role, governor of Oregon, or even president, what would be the first issues you're addressing?
Well, that varies because issues change every
Yes,
4 years.
definitely.
And we don't know what's going to be installed for us in the next 30 years. It will actually even the next 10 years. We don't know. Climate change is happening. We're going through a debt crisis right now. We don't understand what's going to happen. But if that does end up happening later on with future issues, I'm ready to take them on and to be for our people, our nation, because I care.
Very cool. What do you think about the state of the U.S. government right now?
Gosh, that's a good question. It's kind of sad. It really is, because we're so divided. It's crazy how one side of the aisle treats the other side of the aisle as if they were an enemy. It's like what's going on in right now in Israel with the Palestinians and the Israelis. They are fighting each other, and we see that in more of the political field, as Republicans are horrible people, while on the Republican perspective, the Democrats are horrible people. And we cannot get ourselves mixed with that. We've got to think about our future generations and how we're going to live as a country. We've got to move on, and we've got to find a standing point to live our lives.
And what do you think the solution to this division is?
There's so much right now going on. There's not really, I don't want to say this, it's hard to find a solution because there's been so much history and so much volatile actions that have been taking place that we just have to move on through time and allow this wound to heal. Yeah, that's the best way.
Awesome. You guys have anything else you want to go over? Anything else you want to go over, Kael?
No, I don't really have.
Any questions? If we don't have anything else to go over.
Nothing that I can think of.
Actually, I want to say one thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Remember, tomorrow's the day to vote, and the 21st. Go out there, vote, and have a great time. Select who you want to select, and be a participator within our democracy.
Awesome. That's a great thing.
And
Okay.
I wanted to say thank you for you guys to have me here. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Happy to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm
Yeah,
sure-
thank you
joining.
for being here.
Yeah.
It's a good chance you'll be coming back.
Oh, yeah.
So very cool. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
thank you everybody for listening. Okay, we're back. We forgot our most important question, saved it for the end. Kael, we were looking through your Instagram earlier and we saw a comment from Malcolm. How did the candidates feel about Death Grip? We were disappointed to see that you didn't respond, so we promised Malcolm that we would get an answer for him, and you're here now. So how did the candidates feel about Death Grips?
I'm not aware of that issue right now, but I don't want to make a statement of either yes or no without knowing the information about that. So I'll look into that and get back to Malcolm.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm sure
Yes.
Malcolm and everybody else is going to appreciate that. Very cool. Okay, so now that the interview with Kael is over, head over to our other episode where it's just us. For the second half of that, pretty much it's just gonna be our analysis on what we did with Kael and all that jazz. So head on over there. Thank you.